the Excel and of course, sorry, so yeah. So the first two set of relation we have added is related to business assets. That's why while importing this Excel, this relations into business glossary domain, like we have imported it into glossary domain, and only the relations related to this business asset, the business asset group by business asset and business asset group by like business asset represent data assets. These two relations only getting imported because of that. So now what we will be doing, we will be importing this into a physical data dictionary. It's just a data domain. So that we will be having all these relations imported in Collibra. I'll be showing you that. Let's navigate into any of the data domain, like domains related to which contains data assets. Okay, this is report catalog and glossary domains are there. Let me go into RD operations. And I can see this is a physical data dictionary. So from here I will be importing the relations related to data assets. I'm importing the assets. Selecting the file. All characteristics, and I can try to automap it. So for the asset type, I'll be giving the type. Descriptive example is automapped. And we can see in this, as this is a physical data dictionary and it contains the data sets, like physical data assets, I can add the relation related to this data element, data attribute, data set, these kind of physical like data assets. And also data asset implemented in technology assets, something related to data asset, all the relations related to data assets can be imported in a data domain, which is a physical data dictionary. And column is a part of table. Column is also data asset, table is also data asset. So this kind of relation is, and data asset is sourced by data asset. Here we can't import the relations related to business term, group by business term, this kind of relation we need to import in business domain. So I'm clicking next. So I'm testing the import. And if I have any errors, it will be shown in here. It will take some time for analyzing whether the resources are in Collibra or otherwise we need to create a new one or it will need to update. So it will be taking some time. Okay, so meanwhile, let it be running in the backend. So let's get into the next topic, which is Collibra catalog. Yeah, let's come back again there. So yeah, so with a Collibra catalog, we can shop for the data. Like we can search for the data. If I'm having some knowledge that this kind of data is residing in our organization, like the data related to the working days of employee is there. So if I need to search for it and if I need to shop for it, means I need to write array success. I can do that in Collibra, that is shopping for data and availability. So I can see what other data are available within our database data sets and what this HR related data is available, and it is having a retention period for 2 years, like this kind of availability. What are the data available in our our organization, what are the data being stored and monitored and maintained. So this kind of details I can get from the catalog, and I can know the meaning as we are once the data set a physical data layer is ingested in Collibra, I'm relating it to the business asset, which is a logical layer. So I'm logically grouping the sets. So if there is a first name, I don't know whether it is a manager name or employee name or the customer name or the client name. So I'm grouping this is data related to customer, this is data related to client, and for this client we are having this much of data. Like it provides the meaning of the data. So I can know the meaning and origin. So with the diagram and lineage, I can see where the data is coming from, where the data is originating, and how it is reaching the final destination layer, how the data is getting transformed. So and accuracy. So I can accurately, like I can trust the data in Collibra, as there are some technical steward, business steward, they will be looking for the data quality and all. So the data will be accurate and it is trustworthy and consistent, and also it is reliable to, and I can make any decisions or I can send any report out of the data I'm seeing in Collibra and access. So if I want to raise access, I'm new to an organization, and if I want to raise access for a particular scheme or particular community, so I can check in Collibra how to raise in access. Like I can shop for a data set, and in workflows we can configure the things. It will be if I'm raising access for a community Japan, I want to see all the assets in Japan, then I can start the workflow, request access workflow by shopping for data, and then it will be the data stewards, business stewards, and the stakeholders will be tasked with approving or disapproving my request, and they will be forwarding us in the remaining step. Like if we have some of for raising access to a database, or if for some of the roles there will be a separate system maintained in each organization, so they will be guiding us through the remaining steps. So yeah, we can from the Collibra data catalog we can understand the structure of the data sources and what data is there in the data source, and also we can gain business meaning of the technical metadata. So we are having the metadata and how business is seeing that, what is the value businesses are taking out of that, we can see. And we can also evaluate the data quality using Collibra, and also we can all policies and rules of the data sets, and also we can set rights and sharing policies. So this data set is only for the IT users to, they can log in and check into this, and it is we can limit the permission of a particular data set, and so other users can't see this kind of data. We can mask the data from the remaining user, so we can set rights for a particular data. Yeah, these are the basic operations. And
Uh,
yeah.
Nandini, one question on that data catalog, that page. So yeah, so we are seeing, let's say, all these data sets are certified, right? I mean, there is a tick button.
Yes.
Yeah. So one question is, so without, let's say a customer doesn't want to, like, implement the workflows. Okay. So
Okay.
without implementing
Mm.
the workflows, can, let's say, a business term or a data set, can we certify that? I mean, from the implementation standpoint. So let's say, so normally, so my understanding is, normally, let's say, when we introduce a business term and it goes through a cycle, let's say business toward initiate a request, then it goes to, like, let's say SME for approval, then stakeholders, etc. Okay, and then eventually when it is approved, like, that business term or data set is certified to use, right? But if a customer doesn't want to, let's say, go for, let's say, any workflow implementation, okay, I mean, in real case scenario, so how do we ensure that, like, let's say a business term or a data set is approved or certified to use? I mean, it's just like, I mean, we certify it, or, like, is there any process around it?
So why we use workflow is because if I am I am proposing a business term based upon the my knowledge and what I think, like based on my idea, I'm proposing a business term, and it might be correct or might not be correct. So for centralized, like for a collaboratively for making decision whether it is right or not, this idea is right or not, we are having this workflow which ask approvals from the stakeholders. So this is the main idea. So we can say that it is multiple people is looking into that and they have approved, so it might be true. Like for consistency only we are
Mm-hmm.
having this workflow. If we don't have the workflow at all, I know I am the only person, so other than that, I can approve or like I can propose or I can't, like I can remove the proposed term, like I have all authority for this data set if I think so. I can disable the workflow. Like in the workflows, in Collibras we have configured workflows. So if I disable the workflow will be disabled, and there will be like no like the in the Collibras asset page, in the business term page, there might we can't see the simple approval workflow icon for starting the workflow. And then I can add the ratings, and I can add in the comment that is certified.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
yeah, that is because yeah, for reliability only we are having that workflow. If not, we can also remove that. Okay, so that's a good question.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Hmm. Sure, let's carry on then. Okay. So asset types, and we have data sets. Data sets is a logical handpicked collection of data elements that can come from multiple data sources. So I'm having HR data in Japan and in Korea and in India and in America. So I need to relate all this HR data alone. So seeing like how the HR is performing, HRs from different countries are performing. So I can aggregate all the HR data alone from various communities and domains, and I can add it into a data set. So like logically, we are grouping the physical data assets into a data set. So this is the data set. Like yeah, so for if we have a data set, we can use into I if I want to come up with a report for HR data, HR related contents, I can go for shop and search for the data set, and I can add the details over there in here. Likewise, the example purposes of the data sets are mentioned here. And okay, so now data shopping. So in like so data customer decides data set they need, like the business people will be deciding the, like the business people will be grouping the data into the data sets according to their needs. If they want to see the sales related data or profit related information, they'll be proposing the business term, and they will be relating it to the data set. So the business term will be like profit contribution in a particular year, and they'll be relating to a particular data set. And which like data set, it's actually a group of data assets. So I can combine all the data assets related to the profit contribution, and I can relate it with the business term. So it will be the logical data asset dictionary. It will become the business term. The group of business term is stored in a glossary, which is actually a logical data asset dictionary. It is not in physical, but we are logically grouping that. So we can search it in Collibra for a particular data set related to profit. And yeah, so from the catalog perspective, we can search for a data set, and I can see, so this data set has related to this kind of business term, so this contains the data related to profit contribution. And I can likewise I can search for data set and supply. So the data producer register data. So how the Collibra gets input, like who all the what are the metadata supply available for Collibra, is that organization, if organization is having multiple data sources, I need to register that into Collibra. So register the data sets and the data assets. Like I need to register if I'm having Postgres, I need to register that system in Collibra, and I have to ingest the data, and it will be ingested in the physical data set dictionary, and it will be helpful for data analysis. Like if I want to search for a particular table and particular diagram, if I want to analyze, so for the particular report, what are the data from source, how it is getting transformed, and how it is reaching this report, this kind of analysis and debugging. And if I want to see, like if I want to debug some of the errors that is in a report, I can analyze and see where the mistake is arising from this physical data dictionary and the diagram. And compliance, so data stewards will be checking data sharing policies, like adding governance to the dataset with data sharing agreements. So this dataset is having confidential data, and it should be retained only for 6 months. Like this kind of agreements, they can they can add for a data set, and they can check whether they are complying with that. So we have data usage registry, so which is data usage registry consists of whom, like the people whomever having access and requesting access will be having an entry in this data usage registry in Collibra. It is also a domain. And yeah, likewise we can check the data regulation is maintained or not in catalog. Okay, so in catalog we can search for a data set, and we can do data analysis, and also we can maintain data regulation. So yeah, let's see how to register data source. So we need to add admin some of the privileges like I need to, if I want to register a data source, I will be adding schemas, adding domains, assets and attributes. Like I'll be adding some attachment in Collibra. So this kind of permission I should have. Like the admin will be having this kind of permissions for adding any data source or registering any data source. Okay, so once I have registered a data source, I will be the owner, and then so yeah, and if I'm registering a new like if I while creating community and domain, I can search under which committee this domain should be residing. Like the parent committee should be this customer success, and inside this domain should be created. And if I'm creating any business term, I should declare the parent domain of that. But while registering a data source, defaultly it will be under business analyst committees inside the schemas subcommittee. Then we should be moving it into respective committees. If it is a Korean data, then I'll be moving it to the Korea committee likewise. So this is the default committee while I'm registering it newly. Yeah, so a new schema will be created for like in Postgres, in Redshift. Most of the SQL dialects will be having schema, table, and column like structure. So once I'm registering a new schema will be created, and then I can ingest the data into that schema. Like I can while this schema asset is getting created, I can navigate to the schema asset page, and then I can do refresh so that the data are present in that schema will be ingested. So let's see this in Collibra. So once the data, like if we have enabled post data ingestion workflow, so after registering a committee and ingesting the data, it will be asking for assigning technical stewards, business stewards to the committee so that everything will be complete. If I enable this post data ingestion workflow. Okay, let's see this Collibra. Yeah. So overall, we are having catalog as a trusted source of data while doing all of these activities, and also collaborative use. So if I want to ask something, if I want to get approval from the technical stewards, and if I'm thinking if they are having a look into this data issue or this business system, I can also configure the workflow. So I can collaborate all the people in the catalog in the Collibra for using the catalog. Like for maintaining the catalog, I can ask approval of the data stewards using any kind of workflow. Like we can collaborate the people on the Collibra for maintaining the data in good quality. And also, so I can incorporate information from the IT system. Like I can add the business. The IT people will be having the information. This data is related to that, and all. So those kind of data can be incorporated into Collibra, and I can have a data set, a logical collection of data assets. It's a logical representation, and also I can search for applicable data sets. Like if I know something related to profit is there, then I can search for profit so that all the things in Collibra will be listed down, and I can filter it out for a data set, and I can see what are the data sets available for the term related to profit. Likewise, I can search, and I can add the data set into a data basket, and I can request access. So the owners will be approving or rejecting the access. We can see that now technical stewards will be managing the access, so they can see who are the people, the users who are having access to the particular schema, likewise for their community. And yeah, we can ingest the data sources, and we can create and maintain data sets. Okay, so now in the virtual lab we'll be seeing how to search for a data set, and how to shop for data and request access, and how to register data source and data system in Collibra, and how to see the technical lineage, and how to classify the data once ingested, and how to certify a tabular report. So see, the relations have been imported. So I can see no assets is created as assets are already. We have in the last class we have ingested the assets. So now the relation alone is getting ingested. All the relations relating to the data asset and the data sets. So physical data dictionary, and yeah, these are the assets I'm importing that, and it will be taking some time, and it will get imports into Collibra. So this is how we'll be importing the relations related to data set and data assets. We need to add in physical data dictionary, and the relation related to business terms we should add in business domain. Okay, so now okay, now let's search for a data set in here. So this is the data set and it is in the accepted, like it is certified already, and the consistency is 80% this data set data, and the rating is like it has 5-star rating, and the owner is Jonah, and the subject matter expert for this data set is David, and I can see. So the similar data sets, I can see it in here. Like if I'm curious, I can see it over. And this is the summary data elements that the data set has. And sample data, while ingesting itself, if we click to have some sample data, sample data, for example, 5 to 10 rows will be ingested in Collibra. So in customer ID, these are the things, and the first name, these are the details, like this much of rows is ingested while ingestion, and details. I'll be having the description and whether the data set is certified or not. So it is certified, so it is reliable now. And business context why we are having this data set, and tags if any, and ratings. So like administrative have provided 5-star rating and he's recommending that high valuable data sets. Likewise, this kind of details about this data set we can see in details, and data elements, the columns, whether it is a primary key, and the data type, and the row count of each table. There are this much rows in this column, and empty values there are. So here you can see there are 8,000 empty values in middle initial, so people are not filling this middle initial maybe. Likewise, and yeah, so these are the data elements, the metadata related to the column. I can remove it from now, so during the next refresh it will be getting added. So like if we are doing it periodically, so if I think I don't want it, I can remove by this delete icon. In here I can select the columns that I want to delete. Yes. And the
Hi,
sample
Nandi,
data.
can you please go back to the screen once?
This one.
Yeah, here, just to make sure that my understanding is right. So data elements, so you showed a data set, right? Customer product sales data is the data set.
Yes.
So with that data set, we have all these columns like email address, customer ID, and all that. Okay. Now in this data element is showing the metadata of that particular column within the data set. Here it is showing that email address is part of customer sales reporting. The customer sales reporting is the source from where we are getting the data
Table.
for the table from where we are getting
Mhm.
data.
Yes. Yes. Your voice is breaking for me. That's okay. Yes, now it's audible.
What I'm saying is part of, we have those multiple tables from where we are combining and getting the data for the columns, right? That is those are the columns, and the data set is the collection of the all these
Tables,
columns.
maybe. Mm. Yeah. So
And
yeah,
that
in this. Okay.
and that row count which shows as 60,398.
Mm.
What is that row count? Is the
Mm.
row count 60,009 coming from customer sales reporting, or is it from this customer product sales data?
Okay. Okay. So yeah, two questions. So for the first question, so this customer product sales data set is grouping this kind of tables. The is part of this column, is part of this table. So it is having customer sales reporting table and customers table. In these two tables, we have having multiple columns. So customer ID is coming as part of this table, and first name is part of customer table. So this full name is part of customer sales reporting table. This data set ideally combines these two tables, and this tables we are having this column. So this is the hierarchy. And now, so this row count, if we see all the, like we have 60,000 for customer sales reporting and 19,000 for customers. So this customer sales reporting table has 60,000 rows.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So yes. Okay. Then we can see if we have sampled some data. So I don't have permission to view the data, but here I have permission. So I can view some of the data. We can see. as customer table contains 19,000, they have sampled some of the data in here. So this is how the data looks. If I want to check, I can see what is in first name, what is in. So in some cases, we are having like they have frankly mentioned customer first name. So in some cases, the table name will be F underscore M, or like middle initial maybe M underscore I underscore name. Likewise, if I don't know what the column contains, if I want to see the column data, I can check in sample data if they have profiled the data, and if I have permission, I can see that. And in diagram, so I can see, as we saw, I will make it bigger. So in diagram, so we saw that customer product sales data set is created by the combination of two tables. One is for customer table and another was customer sales reporting table. So I can see the lineage with the other assets in this view. So this view has configured for showing the relations with the data assets, data sets, and the Tableau report like business asset and technology asset. So I can see, so this is the raw layer of the data. So okay, I want to see the customer sales report is getting what is the source of the, then I can check in here for the raw data. So it is coming from fact internet sales, and then it is moving into refined layer customer product sales. So then it is finally reaching this customer sales reporting table, from where we are having TDS like Tableau. For having any Tableau report, we'll be having some data marts connected with Tableau. Likewise, this data mart provides input to this Tableau dashboard, and this Tableau workbooks is getting the source from this TDS, and this is under this project, internal sales inside this project, and this is under this server. Likewise, I can see, so this workbook customer sales inside. So we are having the data from fact internet and dim customer. So combining these two data, we are moving it into multiple layers, and finally we are moving into workbook. So if I from the Tableau dashboard, I'm checking some of the columns, and I need to know what is the underlying structure of the data for this dashboard, this TDS. Then I can look into it in here, and I can see, so okay, this is coming from this table. Okay, that's why it is getting this value, and I can verify that too. And also they are combining with this multiple data sets. These are the data sets. So the customer is a part of this much of data sets. Multiple data sets they are having customer as a part of that theirs, and also this that fact internet sales table is a part of this online sales information data set. So logically, so if I'm searching, if I want to get to know, so what are the online sales information related to this, I can search something like online, and I will be in the global search, I will be showed up with all the things related to online in their names, and I can see there's a data set related to all online sales information. While clicking that, I can see, okay, so this online information is stored in this database raw, and in this table it is containing this online information. Likewise, I can see whatever is there in physical, I can logically see what the data provides and what the data means. Okay, then pictures. So yeah, if I click on capture picture, if I want to capture a picture in this view, then I can capture, it will be available in the pictures for showing sometimes. So similar data sets, if I want to check for, I can check. And responsibilities, I can see. So this Rebecca's the data analyst and data custodian. If I am having some doubts or does I'm figuring out some issues in the data lineage, I can reach out to the respective people. And owner Jonah, she's the one who registered the data source, and subject matter expert is John, and technical stewards we are users. So
So, Nandini, can you please go slowly? The
okay,
responsibility.
okay,
The responsibilities.
yeah,
I'm not sure if you have covered the owners, right? Can you tell me what is the difference between a data steward, data custodian, and a owner?
okay. So owner will be defaultly, if I am registering a Excel file, I will be the owner of that domain, like that schema. If I am bringing the data into Collibra, I will be the owner in default. Okay, so data custodian is the they will be maintaining whether the data is in custody. They will be checking the reliability of the data, the consistency of data likewise. And data analyst, they will be analyzing the data, like this data analyst for this community, they will be providing some insights out of their community, like they will be analyzing the data. And subject matter expert, if I want to have some doubts like this in this data, if I need to know how like the transformation is going on, if I'm having some doubts in the data sets for this customer product data, sales data, I need to reach out to him. He will be explaining, like he will be having domain knowledge of this data set. And technical steward will be like they will be in the part of workflows, and they will be technically maintaining like in the refresh. If for example, there may be tables getting added into a customer's dot table in daily basis. So if Collibra is not refreshed up to date, so the data physically present will not be getting ingested into Collibra as it is not up to date refreshed. So for maintaining those activities technically, the data steward will be responsible for that.
So so
So
here,
if
what is the difference between data steward and a data custodian?
data custodian will be checking whether the data is in their custody, like they'll be maintaining this data security, like the data is maintained safe, who are having access, they will be checking the data's consistency as well as the access status, like if unknown people is having access, like if unrequired people is having access, they'll be checking out that. But steward will be like business steward and technical steward. Business steward and technical steward will be involved in the operations, day-to-day operations. So business steward will be proposing the business term and maintaining business glossary. Technical steward will be maintaining the data, like the customer product sales data is up to date, and all the columns and attributes and relations are correct or right or wrong. That technically they will be looking around the data. So data custodians will be overall they will be checking the access, like if some people is moving out of the project, they need to remove the access to that people. And also they will check the data is reliable. That's in they will be mainly concentrating on the data security. Okay, so technical steward and business steward will be in day-to-day operations.
Is business steward, use the term business steward, is business steward same as data steward?
If I want to, like so in our organization there is no technical steward for a particular data set or a data asset, because the support team will be taking care of ingesting and maintaining the data up to date. So like if we want to have separate technical steward, I have a technical steward team, then I can assign technical steward as well as business steward and the data steward.
No,
So
no, no. See,
the
my
data
question is
stewards,
not about technical steward, Nandini. Sorry, my question is not about technical steward because I'm not sure if you have covered all the roles. Okay, that's why I'm asking because you're using different terminology here. In the previous
okay.
one, we talked about data steward. So now you have used the term business steward. So my question is, are data steward and business steward same roles or are they different? If they're different, what is the
Yes.
difference?
Okay, they are different only. So business stewards will be mainly targeting on the business terms, business glossaries, and report like business domains. But the data stewards will be looking around the data overall. Like the data
When you say looking around the data,
is
that's where
in
I'm a little bit confused because data custodian also you said he takes care of looks after the data.
data security.
Okay.
Yeah, data custodian will looks after the data safety and security, and technical steward and the business stewards, like they both report to the data stewards on whole. In the hierarchy, they'll be at the top.
Okay, that's fine. So I'm just curious, is there any class where you will be covering different roles and what their responsibilities are?
Yes.
Okay, so that
Yeah.
is coming later, is it?
Yes, I will cover.
Okay, then fine.
Yes. Okay. Then references and history. So what are the changes done in the data sets? I have added some columns or If I'm removing some things, it will be we'll be having the record history and files. If I want to upload any file for this particular data set, then I can upload it in here, so that it will be belonging to this data set. And like while searching for this data set, and I can find that files related to this data sets. Maybe it might be a PDF file for like FDS or TDS something. I can add it in here, and it will be tagged to this data sets. Okay, so yeah.
Uh,
Now I'm going to shop for the.
question. Anani, sorry to interrupt, but couple of questions. First, tell me what's the use case of a data set, right? You said the this customer product sales data set. We are combining two tables probably, right? So, what's the use
Yes.
case of data set? Just
Like, okay.
bringing columns of two tables, which is related table together. Is that the use case? Because we are not able to do
Yes.
anything aggregation of formula because it's not a same kind of table.
Yes, that is the main, that is the only use case of aggregating the data set. I can, if say there are thousands of tables in an database, and if I want to get the information related to internet online sales, I'll be adding the tables related to internet sales into a data set. So in this example, the table names are we can in a readable format, human readable format. So in some cases in the database we will be having table names as for internet. There may be short term itg int_sal. Likewise, so for the users, they don't know whether this table has this kind of data. So I'm grouping them into a particular data set. This data set is related to this online sales, and then I'll be adding some business term for making it more money. That is the use case for this.
So you're saying if from a bigger table, if we wanted to filter down something only internet cells and then creating that as a data set
Yeah,
is
in a schema, it may contain thousands and thousands of tables. So I'm just bringing out the data I want. It is like a lake, data lake. It might have many
so
like a
data
huge
set and
data.
data set and table are the same or different?
Like tables, okay, table is a data asset and column is also a data asset. So these are
Mm-hmm.
in the physical data dictionary we'll be having schemas. It is a data asset, and inside schema we'll be having tables and columns. So data set is the combination of multiple data sets. In the PPT I have shown you in the first slide, right? So how will be, so see, logically we are having collection of data elements from multiple data sources. So we are logically grouping them out from multiple data sources, maybe, or in a single data source. We are logically grouping them out. Maybe it might be column or it might be tables. We can group them out and we can have a name. So in the if we are having the simple example, we can't say that is a very much useful. But if we are ingesting huge data in from a huge database, then it will be surely making out sense. Like people from the users, they can understand this data is about this one and this data is about that one. Like it's a single source
Mm-hmm.
of truth. If I'm
Okay,
giving
and
the
can you yep.
yes,
Just wanted to see the diagram again, right? Had some confusion. And go a bit slow.
okay.
So actually, the problem today I am facing that my screen is not maximizing, right? It's not complete screen, so I'm not able to.
Okay. I will ping that image in chat then. I'll take a screenshot. So now, okay. So yeah, do you have any questions in here?
Uh, Need to save the screenshot.
Okay. Okay, it's getting. Okay, you have so
I'm still not able to see, but in the chat only can you try to re-explain? Sorry, everyone, right? And let me zoom my screen and trying to understand. Right. So let's start. Can you start it again, please?
okay. This guy. Okay, you are opening the picture in the chat, right? So I'll open the screen. So now, like I have a Tableau dashboard. I have access for this dashboard, and I'm curious like now these days the customer sales information like the profit is going higher or moving like the arrow is moving downward. So I need to see what is the base table making me like making the dashboard to visualize as this. So I need to check the underlying data behind the dashboard, and I'll be looking into the TDS. I need to look into TDS. Then I can check for the dashboard in the Collibra, and this dashboard I have customer sales insights registered into Collibra. So then I can see it is coming from this TDS. In Tableau dashboard, Tableau workbook is created based on this TDS, and this TDS is getting data from this data set from our
TDS is what?
consumption.
Okay.
Is like technically in Tableau, if we are working in Tableau, we will be a Tableau for displaying any kind of reports or workbooks. They will be
Mm-hmm.
connected
I
with
know.
the
Yeah.
okay. Then what?
Okay, so you're tracking it. So like it's
Yeah.
coming from this data set, maybe the customer sales table, and then you're again going back and you have connection with customer sales reporting, and this is coming from customer pro product sales. So you're tracking the source or tables maybe.
Hmm. Yes.
And what's the
And I can
upper boxes, the orange box?
yeah. Huh. So yeah, I can see this customer sales reporting is related to this product sales data, and I can also see what are the available data sets, and customers table is also related to this product sales data. So I can see okay, like we have a sales reporting table. We are also having similar customers table which has the same data, like same kind of data maybe, which is related to the customer product sales data. Likewise, I can get to know the meaning of the data present inside that. So I can't see what is there. Maybe if I don't have access, I can't see what is inside this customer sales reporting. I can check the column names, but the actual data we can't visualize. In that case, I can get help from the business term, and the data sets provide having this, and the data sets which provides me the description of the data, so that I can understand. Okay, this data is containing this kind of details. I can take this report out of this data sets like that. I can get insights out of it. Okay, maybe there is, if there is too much of column like 20 to 30 columns, it will be taking some time for entering the image. So I can see these are the columns inside that order quantity and the tables. It's
Okay.
like okay. So as such, I can see the lineage and relationship between multiple tables. If you are having access for a database, we will be seeing the schemas and tables, but how they are related to each other. This table is having which kind of business value. All that's the insights we can make available in Collibra. Okay. So now if okay, let's move on to adding it into a data set, and let's shop for data. I'm adding it into a data basket actually. So yeah, I'm going on to my data basket, and I can see I have already added this one. So I'm trying to remove. Okay, it is not getting removed. I don't know why. So okay, I can select this one, and I can check out data basket. It will start the workflow. So I'm going to like check out in the sense I'm erasing the access request for this data set. I need access for data analyze report like or the reason why I need access. and from which date I need access until when I can raise access until March or April. Some kind of date I can give for 1 month, 2 months maybe according to our requirement, and I can submit. So the workflow, request access workflow is started in the background, and the data, like the data owner and the data stewards, they'll be assigned task with approving or disapproving my request. Once they have completed their workflow, whether in case of approval, I'll be triggered with mail notification that your request is granted. Otherwise, like if they are declining the request, they will be sending the reason for why they have declined, and then I can see the data sets. I can visualize the data set easily.
So Nandini, one question here. So when we requesting access
Mhm.
for data set or we shop for data, so we shop for data set, right?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. We can shop for data set as well as communities like other data sets. So these are the communities.
So
So
okay, okay.
whatever
So
you
we
want, we can
can
shop.
shop for data set, community,
Domain.
technology asset, or metrics, anything. All these
Yes.
things in.
If
Yeah.
yeah, if we are if I want to access this entire committee, like the enterprise committee, if I want access, I'm newly onboarded to this one. If I want access, I can raise access in here. If I want to have access for a particular data set for creating a particular report, then I can go forward and like select and project to check out.
And these access provided for a particular time span, or it's like once once.
Like that is, yeah. So basically, only like a request access will be given. It is a Collibras out of the box workflow. They will be giving the configuration for this workflow to us. So basically, what this workflow does, it will prompt response for the technical stewards, business stewards, and it will come back to the requested user, and it will be saying that you have this access now, you have declined with this access now. So if we want to keep track, if we have raised access only for 6 months and on the 7th month they are trying to logging in, we need to customize the workflow. So we need to check the time limit. We need to have a trigger notification. So this person has raised access on January. Now it is June. So he has raised access for only 6 months. So take some necessary actions. Like this kind of customization we can do in the workflows. So yeah, as per our requirement, and then data custodian or some business like data stewards will be checking in and they will be taking necessary action. So the basic structure is requesting access and granting access, the time limit, the time constraints, to whom the email should be triggered, whom will be taking care, for which mail ID and all. We need to customize the workflow for our requirements.
And generally, who shop for data is are not these roles. These are the ones like a technical steward, a business steward. All these maintain this data catalogs and all. But in general, anyone from any department can come and shop for the data. So they are the customers, right?
Yes, they are users, end users. Okay, yes. So this is how we'll be shopping for data. And yeah, let's see how to register a data source. For registering a data source, I will be clicking on this catalog, data sources, and global create button. So we have register system, register data source using your own driver and Collibra provided driver, and register system. Okay. Meanwhile, yeah, let me check like whether everyone joined this call for marking attendance. Okay. Okay. So okay. Now if I let me use your own driver in the first group. So in this one, I'm going to add Excel into Collibra. So in case if I want to, so actually in the second class, I think in the Collibra marketplace we are having multiple drivers. So let me show this first. So Collibra provided driver for any kind of source will be having some schemas. So I'm giving this schema name already exists. So let me JP, and next I will be the data owner as I am creating. So these are the Collibra provided drivers, the Synapse, SQL, JDBC, Excel, and managed drivers. In the sense, if we don't have like our like if I want to register Workday data source and I don't have drivers, then I can click manage driver and add JDBC driver, and I can upload the file I have downloaded from the Collibras marketplace. Okay, I will open it again. Collibras marketplace. So I from there I can download the jar files for the sources. Like see here JDBC drivers are there. I'm clicking on it, and I can see this is called JDBC driver for XML and JDBC driver for workbase, space, data mine. There are many sources like ServiceNow, single store. So what I can do, I can click on that. By clicking on this, there will be a zip file getting downloaded into my system. And if I open the zip file, there will be a jar file. Okay. So if I see that this is the one, right? Uh, Here. Okay. So yeah, if I want to register Workday resources or XML, I can upload the jar file. Yeah, and then I can name the jar file like XML version 5.7.0. Likewise, I can like if I don't have my data source listed in here, I can add that and I can register in Collibra. So this is how we do. So in case of Postgres, my Postgres JDBC, I can pick Postgres and I can connect via. We'll be having a local job server in which the Colibras import, search, and everything will be running on. Like this local server, once we have a connection with Colibra, like our organization has having Colibra's VGC, we should have maintaining this job server from other side. Like it may be a Linux server where the data will be stored like while importing, and the repositories are maintained. So this job server will be taking care of this kind of ingestion and storing the metadata will be having this job server. And as I have already connected local job server for this lab, I'm clicking that, and I'll be giving the username, password for this Postgres connection. And if I want to store it for future reference, I can store. Otherwise, each time it will be asking for my username and password for the Postgres connection. And yeah, this is for scheduling data refresh. We can schedule the data using the cron expression. Like each Monday it should run, each Sunday 4 o'clock it might run. Likewise, the time zone, whether it is Australian time zone or IST or GST, anything we can give. So in the time zone it will be running. Likewise, next,
So Nandini,
if you
who
click next,
does
it will be.
register data sources? Which role generally
So
does all this?
the Colibra operation teams will be doing this
Collibra operations.
registration. Yeah, so like if a business, if a people is having this Colibra tool, they will they will be having some operation teams for day-to-day maintenance, like registering the users, for assigning responsibilities. Whom will be doing that? So this business analyst, data analyst, like they will be in a manager level. So some like at least one people for operating the Colibra and maintaining it Colibra day to day, like seeing what are the refresh and what are the refresh conflicts, and like for maintenance, adding this excels and importing out, like this kind of things which we are doing it in this catalog lab, they'll be done with operation team only. Request access, if I want, I can do, end user can do, but this kind of
Mm-hmm.
things can be done by admin. Okay,
You're
so
saying admin or operations, so just
admin is like operation team will be having admin access.
okay,
For
got
admin
it.
team, we will be having super privileges, right? So edit privileges, view privileges, write privilege. Like they'll be having author role. Author role is nothing but we have edit access. We can remove some of the domains, we can remove some of the assets, and we can add. So that is what edit access and admin. So if I'm having admin access, I'll be getting to know the admin password and admin user ID. So I can do with the admin ID, I can do all this kind of operations likewise. Okay. Okay. So now let's I don't let's we don't have Postgres connection and SQL database connections. Now let me go with the Excel file I have. So now I'm going to register data source with my own driver. In some cases, if we want to we are having customized driver, we can for Amazon Redshift. Already Collibra is providing a driver. In some cases, if we are a product-based organization and for our data source we have our separate drivers, then we can go ahead with this. Otherwise, most of the drivers, 90% Collibra is giving, like it is available in the Colibra's marketplace. So this is a rare scenario going with our own drivers. So now I am having Excel file. I am going to attach the Excel file as a data source. So let me show you the Excel file. I think someone is unmuted. This question was it.
So, so Nandini, one question. So,
Yes.
yeah, so when we are using that, use your own driver, which means this Redshift or like whatever is there, that is not part of the Collibra provided driver, right? I mean the other screen.
Like
So this is
Collibra is
no,
providing.
no,
Uh-huh.
no, I'll tell you. So yeah, just stay on the screen. So basically, what I want to know. So here, basically, we are saying register data source, use your own drivers, and we are seeing let's say either these are Excel or CSV based files, or these are basically JDBC connections, correct? So
Yes.
my question is that the previous screen where it was showing use the Collibra provided driver. So these list this Amazon Redshift or CSV or generic or these are, so this is not part of that Collibra provided drivers.
Like if we see here, we are having
No,
Teradata.
correct.
Yeah, like if we want to have our own customized driver, like for our data source, in some product-based company, they might have some develop their own product source, and
No,
if
uh,
they want to
no,
have,
actually, see, yeah, my point is why actually they are maintaining. So if let's say Amazon Redshift is at the both the places, then why we are it is maintained separately. Let's say register data source, use your own driver and use Collibra provided driver. So that was a
okay, so yeah, Colibra provided driver usually connect with the like regular Redshift, and like the jar file will be integrating with the Redshift, Amazon Redshift, like in usual, like in standardly how people will use. So if I'm having a data source and it is some, like if you see some of the product based companies, they'll be developing their own product and they'll be storing the data in their own product. So it is a kind of Amazon Redshift, and they want to customize the jar file according to their sources, then they can do by this way. I'm having Amazon Redshift like structure and I am having Amazon Redshift, but I am doing some more activities in the data source. And yeah, if I want to add something different in the jar file, I can do like this.
okay.
Okay, it depends on the organization's data structure and how they just store data, how they use like files.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Nandini, I have a question. So, suppose if we need to register the data source using our own driver, so like if we have to search that what file we have to like, we are going to first step is that we are going to register the data source. We are going to select the data source type. Suppose if I am selecting IBM DB2. So from Google, I need to download the JDBC file. I mean, a jar file for IBM DB2 connecting with Collibra? Do I need to search it like that?
Like yeah, in this marketplace we are having the reverse. We can search it in here. Like okay, so Workday in here there will be Postgres, and most of the data source will be listed in here. There are like 5 pages. So adding this jar file. So yeah, we for Collibra's registered data source will be having this jar file. So in IBM DB2, if you are downloading from the Google, it will be like a more standard file. standard format everyone is using. So the same will be already you implemented in Collibra's marketplace also. So if you have some more customization on the jar file, then you can go with this. The database is this one, but in this jar file I have to add this much of configuration. So if this jar file downloaded for SQL or IBM DB2 from the Google, it will be like more prevalently used by all people, and Collibra will also be using the same mostly. So if we want to have make some difference for our own product, then we can go with this in the source level.
So, Nandini, my next question is, so in the registered data source using Collibra provided driver also, we will be downloading the Collibra driver from marketplace, and from registered
Yes.
data source also we will be downloading the driver from marketplace only.
No, this is just our own driver. If you want, so this is a rare scenario. If you want to
Okay.
have your own driver, like it is a driver is nothing but a jar file. In some cases, if we are connecting the Linux team, and if they are like our source is somewhat different from the others, and we are maintaining it separately, like we have to have some of additional jar configuration in the jar file, then I can go ahead with this. It's depends
Okay.
on my organization's data source structure. So both are different. The difference will be in the jar file.
So,
Thank you.
Nandini, two more questions around this. So what is the So what is the purpose of jar file? I mean, just to get just to be clear. So is it, let's say, any JDBC connection that we are using? So if these jar files is going to make it compatible that data to the Collibra DGC, or what is the, I mean, so
Yes.
Collibra is maintaining
Yeah.
different jar files for different connections. So just
Mhm.
wanted to understand.
Yeah. So if we are downloading SQL Workbench in our system, we need to have some of the Java versions like 1.8.0, some kind of Java version in our system, installed in our system, and the path should be designed like. And also, there will be a jar file. It will be asking for a jar file. If you are connecting a SQL Workbench, it will ask for a jar file. Like
Mm-hmm.
it is more technically. So while connecting the SQL direct SQL data source, jar file is must. Not only for Collibra, for other SQL connections also. So we can in that case, if we are connecting a SQL Workbench, we can directly download this jar file from Google and add it, and we'll be having that file in our local, and we'll be uploading it to SQL Workbench. So while proceeding and integrating, while visualizing the SQL dialects, the jar files will be coming into place. So I am not that much technical about this jar file, what the contents are present in the jar file, but I know
Okay.
jar file is required for setting up
Okay.
like
Yeah.
this environment.
Okay, that's fine. And the other question is so when we are registering a data source, right? So is it a particular DB level information? Because we are not registering so there is another option called registering system. So there, I guess we are registering the entire
We will,
system, but
no,
here
no,
we are
no.
registering data source, correct? So what's the difference? I mean,
Okay, I will be coming to this register system. Okay, let's start with register system then. System is nothing but Tableau server and Amazon S3 technology assets. These are like Tableau server and Amazon S3. So this is called system law, not like so inside a system there will be database, and inside the database the schema. We need not to think of that system with this one. So this is also a data source. So Amazon
no.
S3 is a system.
No, so in register system, there can be Snowflake, there can be other systems also, right? Here it is displayed too, but the point is that when we register a particular system, so
Okay.
is it going to
Okay.
bring in all the metadata that is
Yes.
available for that system, correct?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Uh,
Okay. Let's try to register the system inside this community. The file system name I'm giving some risk, and if I click register, so I can see this S3 file system is registered. In the configuration, I can add the connection settings like so Amazon S3. It will be running on. There will be a job server for each Collibra DGC maintained by the client. and the access ID for the S3 cloud bucket and the secret access key and IAM role. This configuration we can get from the technical team.
Mhm.
And then the crawlers. Okay, once I save this, I can click create crawler. So I can, like, in a S3 bucket there may be multiple folders and multiple files. I can give the path from which like what are the files I need to import. I can give the path in here. I can give multiple paths, and then synchronize now. I can get all the details, all the folder names, and all the file names, all the column names inside that file, inside this test community.
Yeah, which means that, like, it is for,
Yes.
like, it is for a particular system.
Like, it is also a data source, but they are naming it as a system. Like Amazon S3, it is also data source. We are ingesting the data from S3 into Collibra. Like Tableau server is also a data source. We are ingesting the details from the Tableau server into Collibra, like Redshift and Postgres.
No, so that's where the question is. So how it is then different from the other option that you are showing, right? Register a data source. So so there is an option for register a data source, and there's an option for register a system, right? So there must be
Like,
some
okay.
segregation, right?
Yes. Yeah. So for this kind of data source, we'll be having jar files integration. Like, if I can see Postgres and Redshift, we'll be having some jar files. But for registering system, we need to give only the username and password. This is the main difference between this. So for this SQL dialects registration, we'll be having some jar files. For register system,
Hmm.
Amazon S3 and Tableau will be only prompted for username and password. So this is the major difference. And also the refresh will be like, if I like the schemas, we will be refreshing the schemas. Like, let me show. The refresh is also different for system and schema. Let me navigate into the one I have created. This, yes. Okay, this is the one I created. So once I have configured, so once I give all the connections, and the crawler is also set in place, I can refresh using synchronize now. For the system like Tableau and S3, like this kind of system, I'll be refreshing it synchronize now. So the data will be up to date till this date. And also I can schedule the synchronization, like the cron expression, I can add it in here. Like weekly Friday, you can refresh the schema likewise. And in actions, we will not be getting a drop down. There will not be a refresh option. For the sources, registered data source like Postgres, Redshift, those data source, how to refresh in a weekly basis, or during refresh, there will not be a tab configuration. Only in actions, we'll be clicking on refresh in here. So this is also another difference for the system and the data source. Okay. During registration, they might not be prompt for jar file. That's why that is maintained separate. Okay. So let me upload this file. Western sales, which contains name, first name, middle name, last name, email ID into Collibra. I think someone has unmuted. Okay. Local job server. Schema name. Let me give Western sales schema name. So I can give the schema name as per my wish. And if I want, I can give a description. And I will be the owner as I'm creating that. I have uploaded the Excel files in here. Now I want to store data profile, like the configuration, like the connection transaction details for the next sync. If I deselect this for during the next sync, I need to register data source again. So I'll be saving this profile in Collibra so that I can refresh from there and detect advanced data types, whether my columns have advanced data types, and store some of the sample data, not only metadata, the column name and the table name it will be storing. If I check this box, it will also store some of the sample data. It will be profiling few of the column rows of the data we have ingested. You don't have any option. Let me register it again. Okay, in okay, so I didn't check that store data profile as I don't have access to look into the data. That's why I'm not able to select the checkbox so that I can't see the sample data over there. So now the schema from the file is getting created. It's really taking some time. I can monitor the activities if I'm importing or if I'm ingesting any data. If I'm refreshing, I can monitor it in here by clicking on the three dots, like this arrow. So it's still in running status. If you want to cancel, if we are deleting any domain, if you want to cancel, we can click on this arrow mark. So it will be getting cancelled. So let it create. Meanwhile, we will be looking into technical lineage. I'm right clicking and I'm opening this table. The technical image is basically for the data assets. So I'm opening this in a new tab. So now so this is the technical lineage. While the schema is getting ingested, we'll be looking into this. It's taking some time. Sometimes if it is a huge like Postgres and Redshift, if it is having thousands of rows and columns, it will be taking 2 hours to 3 hours to sync something the schema. And for removing the schema or remove, or if you want to delete a domain or commit it, will also take some time, half an hour to run. Okay. So So for this customer sales reporting, I have opened it into them. So if we see the customer sales reporting, yesterday we asked what is the difference between diagram and technical lineage. So I said the technical lineage is only for the SQL dialect. So consider this is a redshift, and from the raw layer to refined layer, ITG layer to EDW layer, we'll be having queries for capturing those transformation happening between the tables. So if we see in the technical lineage, this customer sales reporting, we can see from dbo dot the schema name dbo dot dim customer. This table is a raw table, and the data is moving into a temp table, and then it is moving to another temp table, and another raw table data is combinedly forming this temp table in between, and then finally it is reaching to dbo customer product sales refined. So this layer, and it is ready for consumption in here. So this transformation is created by the lineage harvester. So like in lineage harvester, we will be having in marketplace a package for lineage harvester, and we can download and we can implement in our Linux server, and we can trigger it using a command line tool, putty, or a command line, any command line we can trigger. So basically what it does, we'll be placing the SQL code that we have in any database like in a Postgres or Redshift, or in these kind of SQL dialects we'll be having the queries. So select start from DDLs and DMLs. So we will be placing the DDLs for each and every table in the lineage harvester output folder. Like in that package itself, we can see a zip file. In the zip file, it will be having 7 to 8 folders, output, config, and other folders required for this lineage harvester. And in the config folder, we'll be editing the configuration. Like in Collibra, inside this system name, I am ingesting this data. And from the backend, what is my username and password, and the connection details like the URL and the database name, I'll be giving in the config file for combining the Collibra with my server. And then in my output, I'll be having placing all this queries into a particular folder, and also I'll be giving the folder path. And once I trigger the lineage harvester, it will be showing like this. So if we see some of the table is in gray, the lineage is in gray, it means it might not be in the data source now. It once lineage harvester will be checking, connecting with the data source and the Collibra, so that it will be stitching the lineage. So if the table is not present in the data source, as I'm giving the username, password, URL for connecting to my database, it will try to connect. And if it find the table in my source and as well as in Collibra, the lineage will be in orange. So might be some temp tables in between might be created for some reasons, and it will be deleted during the in the DM create table, and they'll be truncating and deleting the intermediate tables. So if they want to reduce the duplicacy, so this kind of table is not in my source, but it is there in technical lineage. That's why it is showing in gray. Likewise, it itself will be harvesting all the transformation in here. Select start from this table and insert into that table. Likewise, we will be having the lineage. So this we can see in here, from the raw layer to the consumption layer, we can see the data transformation. But in the diagram, if we see, it is a raw layer, it is the consumption layer, it's a refined layer, and then we are integrating it with the Tableau system. So for like Redshift, in Redshift we will not be having details in which TDS the data is being used. Like this kind of details we will not be having in Redshift. So this kind of relations between this TDS and this data asset, which is in a different system. Like this is a technology asset and this is data asset, so I can manually add the relation. So this data asset is source of this TDS. So the people, we saw yesterday of manually adding the relation. So this table is the part of this column is a part of this table. Likewise, if I want to integrate my lineage up to n, if I'm having multiple system like Tableau, S3, I need to add this relation manually. So lineage harvester will be harvesting data inside the database from the source, from the stage layer to the data mart layer, EDW layer maybe. Inside a database, all the transformation can be captured. So yeah, other than this, I need to know finally. So once a data mart is created, how the data mart is being used, is being consumed by the business. If I want to know, I will adding this relation manually, like I can import it in bulk, and then I'll be showing like this. So for importing this relation, we can have automation in place, or we need to do it manually during each refresh. So each refresh, when I say, if I'm refreshing the schema, this database raw, refined, and consumption, so I'm getting to know that some of the raw tables have been deleted and new tables are in place. I'm refreshing the schema. All the relations which I had manually in Collibra with the data asset will be gone away. So if I'm refreshing weekly, I need to add this data set inside this data set, this kind of relation in each week basis. So that can be done via automation if we are doing it in bulk. Otherwise, we need to like do it in manually. So this is the scope of lineage arrester within a SQL dialect. And then if you want to create with multiple system, we'll be having relations. So this relation will be mainly helpful while connecting multiple systems in the diagram. Okay, I think the system is done. Okay, so if I have product sales reporting, like so, if I want to show more of the lineage arrester, so I can see the attributes. Attributes is nothing but the columns and object wise. So how the table is getting transformed from from dim raw and dim geography. These two tables combine and getting like they are feeding the data to temp table, and then like table wise transformation. So this table is getting involved, and then finally this refined is created, and then it is moving to consumption layer. Likewise, table wise object wise transformation I can see, and the transformations in granular level, like what are the joints involved in multiple things, how the data is created, and so this have been joining like this kind of joints, and this has this kind of joints, so this is created like this kind of transformation. So for the data architect and the people who are working closely on the data mart side, it will be very useful. If they need to, they need not to go in the data mapping sheets for surfing and getting know the details, transformation details and all. It is like a huge miss while multiple schemas and huge data is there, so they can easily search for a particular data in JP. For this customer sales reporting, I need to know the lineage for that, for debugging this kind of issue. If I'm having like this use case, it will be very helpful. And also, as it is done by the harvester, there might not be any errors involved in this mapping. And if we click on code, I can see this. So now let's see what are the like yeah, if I'm running the lineage harvester, if we browse in here, we can browse the data and we can see. If I want to see this temp table, I can see like in the schema. In this database, I want to see this column lineage, I can see like that. And also I can click column lineage. So for the list price, what is the input? Like it is getting data from refine, and it is getting from the temp. And finally, so the source of the list price in my consumption layer is directly from raw layers list price. Likewise, so if you are imaging a complex structure, complex queries, it will be very easy for backtracking the lineage. Okay, likewise we'll be doing, and I can see 7 tables, 7 views are there. And if there are any errors, I can see in here. So there's a settings tab. We can click show status. So I have triggered the lineage harvester in this the last sync time, and I have the source ID in my configuration file. Like I can give ID for uniquely identifying my sync. So if I have 10 schemas, I can give schema name for each for each schema. I can give a unique ID so that I can debug which schema has passing error and analysis here. Like this is the ID we are giving for our understanding in config file. It will be showing in here, and this customer sales reporting table is in this is harvested, and I can see done analysis succeeded queries 1. If I'm having any error, it will be showing that parsing error analysis, parsing error at the line 10. At the line 3, if I'm adding a comma here, and if there is any error, it will be showing the line number 2. Like in this year, in this line, you are having this much of error. Mostly, if we are not naming like the CPS, if we are not giving the CPS, and if you are joining multiple tables, and if 10 tables having the same column, Collibra will be getting confused from which table I should map this likewise. So those kind of naming like aliasing errors if we have, it will be showing in here. Then we need to correct that and we need to add in the lineage harvester lineage server. We need to paste that file newly corrected file and then we need to trigger the lineage harvester and we need to check again and again. So this is how we will be maintaining the lineage harvester. And in the stitching, if I'm seeing if my schema name is different or if there's some like error in the config file, if the password username password is not correct, the trigger will not start. If we are giving the correct username password for Collibra as well as our data source, but I'm giving the schema name wrongly, or likewise if I have any errors in lineage harvester, I can find it in here. So if we see, this tables are only in technical lineage. Catalog in the sense we have registered in catalog. Like when we if we want to have lineage for a particular Postgres or Redshift, we should register the data source first. Then only we can have the lineage arrested trigger. So yeah, these are the things in catalog. And if we see this raw DBO in this raw database in the schema, this temp table is in technical lineage, but it is not in the catalog. Why means the table is getting deleted from the source itself. That's why it is in gray. So I can see in technical lineage the table is there, but it is not there in the data source. So we can see in the catalog and the technical lineage both has this consumption database and this schema and this customer sales reporting. That's why the table is in orange. So the harvester can find the table in the catalog, and it is also in the technical lineage. In the SQL query the table name is mentioned, and if both is fine then I can see the lineage harvester. If I have some errors in the config file, maybe it will be only in the technical lineage. If I'm giving the temp 2 and the table name is, if we can see there's a product in catalog, and I'm in the query like in the output folder I'm placing the query, and I accidentally missed this yes. So I can see only product is there in technical lineage, but in the catalog it is product. So I will check and change accordingly. Likewise for debugging, if there is any error why the lineage is not happening, not stitching, I can see it in here. So this is how will be sources and stitching. What is the getting stitch? Stitched means it will be harvesting the lineage, and to be if in stitching tab if catalog and technical lineage is there, then everything is fine. It is able to find the same data element in the source and in the catalog, and now we are able to see it in technical lineage likewise. Okay, okay. So this is how technical lineage differs from diagram. Diagram will be giving an entire summary of the lineage. Technical lineage is only of a single data source, like it will be limited to the SQL dialect, and we can see granular level transformation in that. Okay, so now we can see our file is imported. Creating schema from file is completed at 9:20. So let me check in this business analyst committee. So if we are having any new file schemas added, it will be defaultly adding in this community. So there are multiple schemas. I need to check my community name in here. We have like I need to search for my community name. I think I gave Western versus if you check in here the community name, like the schema name. Yeah, okay. I'm clicking on this. So this is the one we have created now, Western World Sales Collibra. So I have enabled post data ingestion workflow for my DGC. That's why once I register the like schema, it is asking me to assign technical data steward. Like I know David, so I'm assigning him as the technical steward for this committee. subject matter expert is inherited from the, as it is in business analyst committee, it is inheriting the other things such as subject matter expert, business analyst, those from the parent committee itself. Technical steward is the only one which has not defined in the overall committee. So we have defined and the workflow ended. So in responsibilities, I can see data analyst committee inherited from this business analyst committee, data custodians. If I want to change, I can change. And yeah, subject matter expert, technical stewards. Yeah. So all the roles have been assigned. Okay, and let's see how to refresh the schema. Okay, so here the characteristics are domain types. I clicked on schema, I think. So what are the domain types in Collibra? In like the characteristics of a schema will be having description, and it will be containing the tables and characteristics. So what kind of text will be in that attributes, like this kind of details is there. So we can have a schema as a source of mapping specification, and we can assign a schema belongs to technology asset. So the schemas belong to Postgres, Japan, prod. Likewise, we can add related to technology asset. Likewise, we can add tags and domain types. What are the domain types available in Collibra? We have. So I have sent you the link for out of the box domain types in Collibra. That is what in here. So we have BI catalog for assets from Power BI like systems, and business asset domain, code list, and data asset domain. We have physical data dictionary domain, mapping domain, logical data dictionary domain, data usage registry. These are physical like data domains and glossaries. We have rulebook policy domain. If you have any rules, we can add that. We can create a domain rulebook and we can add those rules in here. And storage catalog, which is nothing but S3, and technology asset domain. So for having system like this kind of technology assets in here, and validation rule. If we have any validation rule, we can add this domain. Okay, so let me. Okay, so now we have created a schema and we have assigned the responsibilities. Now for the schema, if I need to refresh, I can click here. I can click refresh. Refresh for this Excel file is nothing but uploading the file again. If I'm ingesting any data source like Redshift or Postgres or Snowflake, it will be having the connection details, and I need not to upload any kind of files. I can just click on the connection and save and refresh. Okay, it will be starting refresh and I can monitor. It is in activity tabs. This is how we'll be creating a schema, and we'll be assigning roles, and we'll be refreshing. This is how we'll be doing that. So if I want to move the schema into some other committee, I can do that. So for example, I can move, click move, and if I want to place this in my some other like committee, so this is so for the committees I have edit access, it will be showing in here. So yeah, if I have edit access for across all communities, then I can search for the committee or subcommittee, then I can move it into there. So like default, it will be placed in business analyst committee in the schemas, whatever we have registered. And then we need to, if it is a, like a JP schema, then I need to move it to a Japan domain, then I can do it likewise. Okay, this is how we'll be registering the data source, and there is a three kind of registration. One is for Collibra provided driver JDBC connections, and your own driver JDBC connection, and system such as technological systems such as Tableau and Amazon S3, which don't require a jar file for registration. Okay, so I'll be sending this PPT. So data classification and certificate data report we'll be looking tomorrow. Okay, thank you all guys. I'll be sending the